And welcome to this video. Now, today we will be making a very simple guessing game, and this will be our first ever project with me, okay? Now, I will be doing this project on PyCharm because I feel it looks much better if you do a project on PyCharm. You can do it on Jupyter if you like, but I would prefer doing PyCharm, okay? Now, how we are going to do this project is, well, first I will give you a preview on what the game will look like when you have built it, and then I am going to ask you to pause and try the game yourself. And once you have done it, or don't know what to do, so it doesn't matter if you haven't done it, you can just go onto solutions. So if you have done it or you don't know what to do, you can go through solution with me. Okay, so let's jump to our first project. Okay, so here I am going to give you my preview. Now, as I told you before, it was a guessing game, and it only gives me 3 guesses. So I'm going to guess the wrong number for all of them. And there we go. I only got 3 guesses and I lost. So let me run this again, and this time I'm going to guess the correct number. So first the wrong, and the correct number is 9, and there we go. I won. Okay? So have a go at doing this. Pause the video and I'll see you at this notebook again. Okay, so first we want to start off by defining 3 variables. Okay? Now what I want to tell you is these variables, they have to be very concise. So they need to be very clear. If they're not clear, you'll get a lot confused, even if you put comments, okay? Even if you put little notes like that, you'll still get confused, okay? So let's start off by defining our first variable. So I'm going to call it secret number. And this variable is going to store the number I have to guess to win the game. So I'm going to put comments. And note that comments are really useful when doing a project. So I'm going to write down comment. Number I have to guess to win. Sorry about the grammar. So I'm just going to correct that. Number I have to guess to win. Okay. And the next variable will record how many times I have guessed. Okay. So I'm going to call this guess count. This is equal to 0 because I haven't made any guesses yet. So how many times I have guessed. Okay, how many times I have guessed. Okay, and our third variable will be the limit of guesses we get. So as you saw in the preview, the limit of guesses I actually got was only 3. So I'm going to call this guess limit. This is equal to 3. Okay, so this is the limit of guesses. Okay, so these are 3 variables and I've commented this out. Now I'm just going to give you a warning. If I don't explain any of these properly or you don't understand it, then it doesn't matter. Just follow along with me, and at the end I'll give you an explanation. Okay, so just follow along with me for now, and after I will give you a clear explanation. Okay, so first we need to start by defining our while block. So while. So what this while block is going to determine is whether we have made 3 guesses or not, and it's going to count the number of guesses we have made, and it's going to determine whether we have won or not. So first we need to determine whether we have passed the limit of guesses or not. So while the guess count, so the number of guesses I have made, is smaller than the guess limit, then what I want to do is I want to ask the user to make a guess. Now, the way we do this is we need to define the input function. Now, we haven't gone through that yet. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a brief thing on I'm going to give you a brief explanation on what it does. So, what the input function does is it gives you a piece of information or a question to answer. It doesn't matter what it is, and you have to give it a piece of you have to answer it back, or you can just return something. Okay, so as you saw in the preview, when it asked me to guess, it let me type the answer next to it, and I had to press enter, and it determined whether I was wrong or not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to define the input function. So input, and what I want to input is guess, and then a colon. Now I'm putting a space here because when they type the answer, it will just be a bit clearer which one is the answer and which one is the question. Okay. Now, when the user types in the answer, for our input, our answer will be recorded as a string, and that will be a number. Okay, so it has to be a number, otherwise it will produce an error. So when they type the number in, it will be returned as a string number. Now, we don't want it as a string, otherwise we can't perform this operation here, and it will just produce an error. So what we need to do is convert our string number into an integer. Now the way we do that is use the int function. See, integer. So short for integer, okay? And this is a rule for input function. You always have to store the input in a variable. So I'm going to call the variable guess. Okay, so this is what we're going to ask. Now we need to write a little statement that adds one to our guess count whenever we make a guess. Okay, so it counts up whenever we make another guess. So I'm going to say guess count plus equals 1. Okay, so what I'm trying to say here is the value of guess count, which is 0, added to 1 is... So the value of guess count added to 1, it will be set to guess count again. Now, if you don't understand this, it's okay, just follow along. Remember, I will explain to you later. Okay, so now we have determined whether the user has exceeded the guess limit. Now I need to determine whether the user has won or not. So if the answer of the input, so if guess is equal to the secret number. Now the reason I wrote secret number here was because if we just wrote 9, we would have to change the secret number here and the secret number here if we change 9. Okay, so I'm just going to write secret number, so we only have to change this if we want to put a different secret number. Okay, so now we have written this statement, we obviously need to put a colon. And if they guess the secret number, what I want to print is you won in all caps. Okay, sorry about the space there, but so you won in all caps, okay, because it's a good thing. And after I have printed this statement, I want to break the whole loop because I don't want to ask the user to make any more guesses because they have won. So all I'm going to write down here is break, okay? So this little piece of code over here defines whether the user has won or not. Now we need to put an else block. Now, we are not going to put the else block here. Instead, we are going to put it here. Because in a while loop, it doesn't matter if you have an else block or not, okay? So it's optional to have an else block. So that is why I am just putting it here, okay? So because this whole one kind of determines whether the user has won or not. So we're just going to put else here. So if they have not won, I want to print down... Sorry, you lost. okay? And then a sad face because it's sad, okay? Now, this is the whole game, but I'm not going to test it now. I am going to go through it like I said before. Okay, so here are my 3 variables, and here are the comments. So this secret number is the number that I have to guess to win, okay? And the second variable is the number of guesses I have made, not the limit of guesses. The number of guesses I have guessed, okay? And this guess limit is the limit of guesses I get, okay? So I only get a limit of 3 guesses. Okay, so let's look at this while block here first. So while the guess count, which is 0, is smaller than the guess limit, so right now it's 0, but whenever I make a guess, it will add 1 to 0, and that soon I will have 1 guess, then 2 guess, then 3 guesses, okay? So while the guess count is smaller than the guess limit, then the guess is going to equal, then I need to ask the user to make a guess. So ask the user to guess, okay? So this here we use the input function. Don't worry, if you don't understand it, we will use it in loads of other projects as well. And there will be a notebook on it very soon. Okay, so here we use an input function that asks the user to guess, and the answer for this input will be recorded as a string, as I told you. So we need to convert it into an integer using the int function. And as I told you as well, we need to always store the input function in a variable. Now, since I've explained this, I'm going to explain this little statement here. So what I'm trying to say here is the guess count plus 1 is then equal to guess count again. So the value of guess count, which is 0, added to 1, and that is 1, and that 1 is set to guess count. So after that, 1 is going to be added. So now after that, guess count will be set to 1, and when I make another guess, 1 will be added to 1, and that will be 2, and that will be the value of guess count again. Okay, so now this is the block of code that determines if we have exceeded the limit of guesses. So if we have passed 3 guesses. Now this block of code determines whether we have won or not. So if the guess is equal to a secret number, and this secret number is 9, then I need to print we won. Okay? And once it has printed this, it will break the whole loop. So what I mean by this is it will stop the whole loop, okay? And if this doesn't happen, then I put my else block over here, and I want to print sorry you lost, okay? And that will be the end, okay? Because I have exceeded the number of guesses, and all my guesses have been wrong, so I have lost. Okay, so this is the game, this is the whole game, and now we are going to test it. So a shortcut for this on PC is Shift and F10. And if you want to find a shortcut, you just go to here and it says run with the play button, and here is the thing. Or you could go up here, and if you want to run your project, you can just go to the first thing here, and it says the shortcut for it is Shift and F10. So if you want to run that specific project, then you just want to press Shift and F10, okay? Otherwise, if you want to select or something like that, then you press Alt, then Shift, then F10. Okay, so back to what we were doing. So it's telling me to make a guess, and I'm going to guess all of them wrong. And it says I lost. Okay, so I'm going to run it again. I'm going to make a wrong guess. And then I'm going to make the right guess. And it says I won. So I'm sure you can see how easy it is, okay? So for those people who think it's actually really complex, it's really easy if you just get that logic of while loops in your brains. Sorry, just got a bit out of hand there. But I'm sure you now have understood a bit more about while loops. Don't worry, because in the next video, we will be making another game that will just be a teeny bit longer than this one, but it will only be while loops and if statements, so don't worry. Okay, so that's it for today, and please subscribe and comment below if you found this video good or not, or just comment below to tell me how to improve my videos. And thanks for watching. Bye.